Hello, everybody. Just checking in to see how everybody is doing. I hope everyone is doing well. Going to wait for a few of you guys to come on and see how everybody has been during the holidays so far. And for those of you that will watch the replay, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I also want to know how you're doing as well. So please comment. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know how you're doing. I will be checking throughout the comments. It's been a while since I've come on here and did an impromptu just to say, hey, what's up? Hello, Tanisha. Hello, good to see you. Just to give you all a quick update and to see how everybody is doing. It seemed like it's been forever since I just popped in here to say hello. Hello, hello. I think that's Carol. Good to see you on watching. How y'all doing? This is just a quick check in to see how everybody is doing. Hey. Let me know where you're watching from. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Let me know how your holiday was. Hello, Akila. Thank you. Hello, Tavon. It's been a minute since I've been on here. I know some of y'all like, it's been a minute. How has it been a minute? Because you've been on here for her story or for his story. And I hope you have been enjoying that. Hello, Liz Lopez. Good to see you. I am doing well. I hope you're doing good. Hello, Aisha. Hello, Prophetess Monique. So I said, you know what? Let me pop in here and see how everybody is doing. I hope that you have been enjoying your weekend. I hope that you've enjoyed your holiday, your Thanksgiving. How many know that by the time Thanksgiving comes, it is already like New Year's? So we're about to go into December, and you are at a point that you have to make a decision that you're going to be encouraged, right? So if you've been watching me for any point in time, you know I always come on here and I talk about being encouraged, right? Hence the shirt that I have on. I believe that this is one of the shirts that we have on special for the Black Friday Cyber special as well, especially with everything that's going on. I have been determined to be encouraged. Things will happen. Challenges will come. Many things will happen to make you discouraged. You have to be intentional. That's your decision. You have to make a decision that I'm going to be intentional and I'm going to be encouraged. I'm going to find something to be encouraged. I'm going to, cause my focus to be on something that's going to enlighten me, something that's going to uplift me, something that's going to bring out the best in me. Is you going to have to make a decision with everything that's going on. There's so many things that are happening in our community, that happens in our family, that happens in ministry that we cannot control. But what you can control, make sure you control it. So I refuse to be discouraged. I refuse. So what I did was, and for many of you all that don't even know, and for those of you that's coming on, hello, I just wanted to come in here and say hello. Many of you all see me when I'm doing my interviews lately of his story and her story, but I just wanted to come in here and check with you guys and see how all of you all are doing, see if you were enjoying your holidays, because I have not been able to do this in a minute. And so, but I had the shirt on, I was just sharing. I remember years ago when we had first started in ministry, every time I would end the service, I will always end the service and I will tell the different ones, be encouraged, and end it, be encouraged. And one week somebody came to me and they said to me, at this time I was a pastor, they said, Pastor, every week you come to us and you say, be encouraged. There is nothing to be encouraged about. Every week I go to work, I have issues on my job, things not working out in my family. And every week you tell us to be encouraged, but nothing happens for me to be encouraged. And so in reality, they wasn't really challenging me, but they were sharing with me like, you talking this talk that it don't make sense to me. And I realized in that moment, a lot of times as leaders, sometimes we say things. And at that moment, I just assumed that everybody was getting it. They was understanding what I meant by saying be encouraged. But when this person came to me, and they didn't come to me in a way of challenging me, they didn't come to me in a way of being rude. They came to me really with a concern like, you say this every week, but every week I have these issues. And in other words, they were saying, I trusted what you were saying up until it's not my reality. And I began to teach it. And I said, you know what? Let me teach this. Let me teach what I mean, because how many of you all know something that seems so simple may not be as simple to somebody else, right? So what one person thought sounds so simple, they realized it wasn't that simple. And I began to let them know that it's a decision. What I'm doing is I'm reminding you at the end of every week to make a decision. Situations and circumstances and challenges are going to come. Chances are you can have a great moment right now, a very good moment. And within the next moment, someone, something, or anything can happen that can shift your good moment. But you have to be intentional to make a decision. We might not be able to choose what happened, but what I can choose is my reaction to what just happened. And so I got into a moment and I began to teach them, no, you have to be intentional to be encouraged. Things are going to happen. It's how you handle what happened. We have to make a decision. I could choose to slap somebody, but I choose not to slap them. Why? Because slapping a person, there's consequences. There's consequences. Depending on how I respond to a person, there's consequences. If I'm sarcastic, if I'm rude, if I'm smart, if I'm insulting, if I'm sarcastic, all of it has consequences. And so something that one person, it sounds so simple to them, I had to begin to tell them, no, you have to make an intentional decision. I get up and I make a decision. The same way I take authority and command my day, I don't just get up and let my day happen. Because if I just let my day happen, anything going to happen. So I have to be intentional to decree and declare what my day should be. And because I know what I declared that my day should be, I don't allow anything to come against what I already declared it should be. So if I say the day is going to be a good day, the day is going to be a blessed day, guess what? Guess what? Something's going to happen to make my day appear not to be good. And so it's how I handle what just happened. So I have to say, you know what? That's not going to cause me to say that the rest of my day is jacked up. I have to be intentional and say, I don't receive that. I don't receive that. Why? Life and death is in the power of my tongue. It's up to what I speak in that moment. So if everything look like it's going bad, what do I speak now? I'm not going to speak, well, see, this day is just a messed up day. The devil is a liar. I'm not speaking that. Thank you so much, Lisa Murray, for the stars. I'm not going to speak what a day is a bad day. I'm going to speak, I don't receive that. I don't receive the day as a bad day. Why? I already decreed and declared what my day is supposed to be. And because I'm standing in agreement with my faith, and not only did I speak it, and I'm going to believe what I'm speaking to see the manifestation of it, I'm going to keep waiting. Something good going to happen for me today. Something good going to happen for me today. Something good going to happen. I'm going to keep speaking it, because now what happens, because I keep speaking it, I'm looking for something good to happen. I'm not looking for nothing bad to happen. See, I remember growing up. Now, if y'all believe this, look, don't play. Don't come for me, because I'm not. Y'all already know I don't do this stuff. I'm just talking about something I grew up with. I grew up with that thing about if your left eye jump, that means something bad going to happen. Now, I don't believe that stuff no more. I'm not into that. I don't believe into that. I don't believe that no more. Now, if you believe that, that's on you. I don't believe that. I believe God. Because if I speak it's going to be a good day, it doesn't matter if my left eye or my right eye jump. It doesn't matter. God still got my day. And so I remember growing up with that belief. And so what happened was the moment my left eye started jumping, oh God, what's going to happen? Something bad going to happen because my left eye jumping. Because I was taught to believe that when this happens, something negative going to happen. So what happens is I start looking for negativity. I start looking to see what the problem going to be. So when my phone rang, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. Now I don't want to answer the phone because I don't know what they're going to say. Oh God, see, I knew something bad was going to happen. No, you started believing it into existence. Now what happened if we flip that to the other side? What happens at the same kind of faith that I was using from what I was taught that something negative? It wasn't that it was just true. It's the fact that I believed it in. So I chose and I choose now to believe it in a positive way. So remember, see, it wasn't just your left eye. It was also your right eye. The thing was back then was if your right eye jumping, something good going to happen. So guess what happened? When your right, I need something good to happen. I wonder what it is. So you're looking for what's good. So you find it. You will find whatever you're looking for, good or bad. You're going to find it. And so the same way I have to teach them is how it is with being encouraged. Things will come to discourage you. You have to be intentional to be encouraged. You speak to it. I'm going to be encouraged today. Guess what? Something going to come. Something probably just break. Well, guess what? That can be replaced. I wasn't planning on replacing it, but it's not the end of the world. It's you got to change how you handle stuff. Things that you used to pop off at, I'm not popping off anymore. So I'm going to be encouraged because I used to act like I just lost everything when something bad would happen, but now I don't act that way. And so I had to go and I had to start teaching people, no, you're not, things that's encouraging might not just happen. It's what you make happen according to what you're speaking into, what you believe. So if life and death is in the power of the tongue, I'm going to speak life. If I have the ability to prophesy to my day and I have the ability to decree and declare a thing so that it shall be, I'm going to decree and declare that I'm going to be encouraged today. I'm going to begin to speak. I'm not going to let nothing tick me off. I'm going to keep my eyes fixed on Jesus, the author and the finisher of my faith. I'm going to be encouraged. And so you know what I started doing? The same way they started saying, write down certain things. You know, if you want to be reminded of something, if you want to be encouraged or something so you don't forget, you write it down. I started being reminded of the word and I started being reminded of encouraging things. So when they call it the pandemic, I reminded myself by wearing it to be encouraged. I'm not going to listen to the news and be so discouraged that I can no longer believe God. So I'm going to look, when I look in the mirror, or even as I'm looking at this screen, I'm looking and I see be encouraged. It's reminding me it doesn't matter what it look like. It doesn't matter what it feel like. It doesn't matter what it sound like. It doesn't matter what they said. It doesn't matter what they didn't say. I'm going to be encouraged, and according to my faith, it will cause things to come into existence, to manifest, that will cause me to be encouraged, right? Y'all know I only came on here to say hello, right? I only came on here to see how y'all was doing. But you have to make up in your mind that you're going to be intentional. Listen, for many of us, 2020 has been a humdinger, but it has also been a blessing. If you only see the downfall, if you only see the problems, you'll never see the blessings. Let me give you an example, and I'll come back and I'm going to do a teaching on this. This was just a pop in. I was just wanted to come in and say hello. I will come back and I will teach this right here to help everybody. 2020, there was some people, some things that was exposed, right? It was painful, but it was necessary. See the blessing in it. See where I could remain discouraged because of who it was and what it was. I can remain discouraged, but I choose to be encouraged because God didn't allow it to hinder his plans. So because of that, I don't focus on what was lost. I focus on what is still to be built, what is still to be discovered, what is still to be expanded, what is still to be enlarged, what is still to be uplifted, right? And so you have to understand that, like I said, 2020 has been a humdinger, but you got to be able to see the blessings in it as well. And if you don't recognize the blessings, then you miss a lot of what we were supposed to obtain in this year. So this year has been a blessing and a challenge at the same time. Oh my God, a blessing and a challenge. The challenge was I was quarantined and I couldn't get out. See, February and March and April, I couldn't get anywhere. I was quarantined. I couldn't get out. I couldn't get to family. But it caused me to be isolated, to depend on God, and for him to give me strategies on how to do ministry in a more effective way. See, I couldn't get out and I couldn't travel and I couldn't go to places like I wanted to. But guess what? We birthed out 2 broadcasts. Had I been on the go, I would not have birthed out his story and her story and started a women's group that's over 300 strong now. So it was good. It was good to be quarantined because it causes to press in to get instructions and to understand the shift. Right? So it was challenging, but it was beneficial. It was painful, but it was necessary. Right? Because when we're so challenged that we couldn't teach, we learned to network and we was able to have others to come and speak life when we couldn't speak ourselves. So it caused us to have divine partnerships. Lord have mercy. Right? So you have to be able to recognize that though it was challenging. See, because we're entering and we're about to cross over into December. And as we cross into December, if you don't recognize the beauty, even though it was some pain, you can't celebrate the victory. Because there were some victories in this, though there were some losses. There was much loss. Trust me, I get it. Much loss. But Jesus is Lord. So he's teaching us how to recover, how to deal with grief, how to deal with grieving, how to deal with pain without paining others, without punishing others. And if you have not learned that, then you need to get into a place to pray and ask God, God, help me. Help me that when I'm inflicted with pain, that I don't inflict pain on others. Thank you, Pastor Sharonda. Right? It becomes like God, teach me how for my flesh to be crucified without trying to crucify others because of my discomfort. That I'm still able to demonstrate the love of God. That when we quote that part of the verse and say, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. That when that part of the word is in operation in our life, that we're literally demonstrating it for real. That we don't just quote words, that we live them for real. Right? Because for some of us, that became something that we had to live out. Like, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Because some of us been slayed and we're like, God, I thought I'd trust you, but my God, like, this done brought a whole nother level of trust. It brought us into a place where we thought we was walking with God, but now we understand I'm saved for real. I told somebody the other day, I'm like, I found out in 2020, Teresa Hawkins is saved for real. Now, in 2019, I knew I was saved. And I knew I was saved for real. But 2020, I found out I was saved for real. Right? Some of you all found out you were saved for real. Because when you seen snakes that was camouflaged as friends, or snakes that was camouflaged as associates, or snakes that was camouflaged as sons or daughters, when you recognize who they were, when God allowed it to be exposed, you realize that you were saved for real. And for that, I give him praise. Right? It wasn't about proving it to people. It's about what he showed about you. For much of what we've been through is what God was showing about you. Many times we do things for other people to see who we are, but a lot of the things that we've been in and been through is for you to see who you are. It wasn't about the other ones. It's about you. That you understand that you can really get a prayer through. That you understand that you really are not forgotten, even though you felt like it, you realize, because here it is, you done made it to the end of November. When in February, some thought they couldn't get there. And you wonder why I wear a shirt saying be encouraged? Because it's a choice. It's a decision. I choose to be encouraged. I choose to believe God. I choose to look unto the hills from which cometh my help. I choose to believe that it won't end like this. That's my choice. That's my decision. I can either be depressed or I can believe God for the best. And I choose to believe God for the best. I choose to stand strong to see what's on the other side of this. That's my choice. And you decide, what do you do? I refuse to be a complainer all the time. Like, my God, is it anything positive? Somebody say, good morning. What's good about it? That you woke up. How about that you still breathing? How about that? Sometimes we're so selfish because we haven't lost any of the things that we take for granted, like our five senses. I remember back in, I think it was April. Back in April, I must have had COVID before they even knew that. One of the symptoms, or two of the symptoms, was loss of taste and loss of smell. So my husband and I, some of you may have seen the post. I posted on my personal page. My husband had took off and we were supposed to went away on vacation. And I woke up on a Monday and I could not get up out of the bed. It was like I was just pressed to the bed. I couldn't get up. I couldn't get up if my life depended on it. The more I tried to get up, I just could not get up. And I'm like, my God, like, what is wrong? And at that time, I kept looking, I kept Googling to see what was the symptoms. And it wasn't until one day I recognized, I said, wait a minute, I'm able to eat my food. And I know usually I'm really picky with food, and I didn't have no issues with what I was eating. And then I realized I can't taste. I realized I can't smell. And you really don't appreciate certain things till you no longer have it. See, we take things for granted, but it's not until you lose it. See, it wasn't until when I had just purchased some food, but then when I went to go heat it up, I wanted to make sure it was good, that it wasn't spoiled. But when I went to go smell it, I couldn't smell if it was spoiled. Something that's simple was no longer valid for me to do. So I could no longer just go and see if something was spoiled or sour. I could no longer taste to see if something was bad. So when I got my smell and my taste back, my prayer began to be, God, I thank you for my 5 cents. Forgive me, Father, for not thanking you the way I should have, for the ability to see, to hear, to smell, to taste, and to feel. It's not until you lose certain things that you're grateful when you regain it. And so when people say, well, I don't know what to be thankful for. Well, can you see? Can you hear? And there's some people that can't see, but they give God more praise than those of us that can. I went to a third world country, and those people were some of the most grateful people. And I realized, I said, we here in America, we just as spoiled could be. So I made up in my mind. I said, you know what? I'm going to stop complaining about things that can't be changed and give God praise for the things of how they are. I make a decision to be encouraged. It's my choice. You might not choose to be encouraged. You might choose to complain about everything that's going on, complain about everything that's not working, complain about who ain't returned your call, he didn't do this. Life is too short. Have you not realized that? These days are going by faster and faster. And so at the end of the story, I want to hear well done. And in order for that, I need to make sure that I'm in right standing with God. See, we spend more time trying to be in right standing with man than being in right standing with God. And a lot of this has helped us to get things back in alignment. Hallelujah, Elaine King. You said that you cried out and your taste was returned in 3 days. Look, when I couldn't taste and I couldn't smell, Lord have mercy. And it's like you don't even realize it. I really don't even eat Chinese food. I'm not one to eat Chinese food. But that one particular day was Chinese food. And I knew I needed to eat because I was taking some medicine. I knew I needed to eat. And I don't know how y'all Chinese food is, but I know when I had Chinese food, that stuff go bad. It seemed like in the same day. And it was the next day, and I was like, oh, let me heat this up. And I was like, oh, let me check and make sure it's not. And I went to smell, and I couldn't smell it. And I said, my God. And I said, Lord. That's when you start repenting and saying, Father, forgive me for all those times I took this for granted. Because I didn't understand how valuable this is. See, you don't really realize how valuable something is until it's too late. But sometimes we don't get it back. I honor God that I got it back. But what about the relationships we take for granted? What about the people we take for granted? What about the blessings we take for granted because we wanted something else, but God gave us what we needed? The Bible says he will supply all our needs according to his riches and glory, but we get mad because we wanted something more so than what we needed. Right? So how y'all doing, right? Y'all good? I just came over here to say hello. I'll come back and we'll talk about this. But as you cross over into December, get to a place that you encourage. Look, God done brought us through. I don't know about you, but I never lived through a pandemic before. I ain't never lived before through a time of being quarantined. I remember it was a time my grandfather used to always say to me, he said, every time the car moved, you know you don't need to be in a car every time it moved. So people think me just traveling is new. I was little. Every time somebody was going somewhere, I was trying to be in the car. My grandfather used to say, you know that every time a car moves, you don't need to be in the car moving too. So when everything got shut down, I'm like, oh God, what we going to do? And then I heard God say, seek me, seek me, seek me. Fear not, seek me. I have instructions. That's all he kept saying over and over. Fear not, seek me. And it took me a minute because I'm like, okay, I'm used to being on the go all the time now. Now I got to calm all of this down. I'm so used to being so many different places. Now I got to learn. But all of that was a part of the process. We don't dictate the process. We just got to go through the process. You don't dictate it. You don't even get to create it. We can't create the process, nor can we dictate the process. We just are called to go through the process. And so now it's like, oh my God, I can't go nowhere. We can't do nothing. I'm like, I had so many plans. But yet we say God is in charge. But we got so many plans. Did you hear that? We say God is in charge, but we have so many plans. Okay. We say God is in charge, but we have so many plans. So when he shifts our plans for his, we have a hard problem with that, a very hard problem with that. And so I have all these things set that the quarantine interfered with. But the quarantine didn't interfere with the plans of God. See, you see that? The quarantine didn't interfere with the plans of God because when I obeyed him, when I quiet myself down, when I started seeking him, then he started giving instructions. And so it seemed like it wasn't what it was because we're so used to dictating our own flow. Right? But one of the things God said back in February that many of us was coming out more prosperous than going in. But fear not, because we got so worked up because we've never been in a time like this. But there's multiple testimonies. And when you start hearing testimonies, it's not to talk about people and be like, and they over there doing this. No. That just means that God is in the vicinity of blessing. That means he's in the vicinity. So that's called faith boosters. That's what that's called. That's called faith boosters. That's not to talk about people. That's not to look down on people. If your faith not there, then let's do this. Just don't curse yourself with your words. You can't be encouraged by speaking curses. You become encouraged by speaking faith. And if you can't speak faith, be quiet. Be quiet until you're able to speak what will bring change. Right? That's what I learned to do. When I was in a challenge, when I was in a pickle, I learned to be silent and allow those with wisdom and faith to speak up so that their faith will buy into my faith and it will be uplifted. So I had to learn to partner with somebody else's faith because my faith wasn't there yet. So as we come into a close in November, on this 29th day, you have to make a decision to be encouraged. And as you become encouraged with some things, you'll begin to see different. You'll hear different. You'll feel different. You will expect different. Your expectations shift. Your expectation changes. Because I'm expecting anything good to happen. Because I serve a God that can't fail. Please understand, everybody is not in a season of challenge. Some are in a season of blessing. Some are in a season of breakthrough. Some are in a season of promotion. Some are in a season of elevation. So just because that might not be your season, I didn't say story, season. And even stories take a shift. So I've learned to get around people that's speaking good, to build faith, to build excitement, to build encourage. Sometimes be encouraged. Well, I'm going to be encouraged. But we talking about she talking about this. And guess what? I only need to hear somebody be encouraged to uplift my faith. That probably was the only word I needed, was be encouraged. Because the moment that you shift your mind is the moment that you can shift your life. It's in that moment. As a man thinketh, so is he. If you think negativity will draw to you. You think good things, you look for good things. You have to learn to be encouraged. I used to we would go to Bible study. Y'all know Wednesdays, people say Wednesdays is the hump day. We got to get over the hump. Wednesdays is the middle of the day, push of the week. And that was engrafted into some of us. So we would go to Bible study, and I would get in there, and it's this, like everybody's like, we just here. And I would ask everybody, how y'all doing this evening? And they were like, they wouldn't respond. Nobody heard me? Y'all didn't hear me? Let me just check. I don't want to assume like y'all didn't hear me. And they was like, wait. And I had to tell them, I said, do you understand that life and death is in the power of your tongue? If you didn't have a good day, you have the ability to speak. And because you have the ability to speak, you have the ability to shift what has already been going contrary to what the outcome should be. You don't have to accept things coming any old way. But I have the ability to decree and declare and then stand in faith to see the manifestations. I said, why are y'all expecting life to just happen? Well, I didn't have a good day. Well, guess what? The day isn't over. The day not over. But the fact that you're like, your mind is there and your attitude is there and your emotions is there, it already pretty much determines the rest of your day. Learn the ability and the power. If the word says you have life in your tongue, then speak life to your day. And I started teaching them, don't come in here with this like, oh, I'm tired, it's just Wednesday. No, Wednesday is a blessed day just like any other day. Sunday ain't the only blessed day. What? Sunday ain't the only blessed day. That's why sometimes we can be so rejuvenated and so energized and so excited on Sundays. And then Monday we act like we ain't even been in the Lord's presence. Monday can be a good day just as Sunday. Wednesday should be a good day just as any other day. Why? I still serve the same God. I'm still serving the same Father. The same God I was serving on a good day is the same God I talk to when it don't seem as good. Father, how to shift this? You begin to ask Holy Spirit, help me. How to shift this? How do I learn from this? What do I need to learn from this? Why am I dealing with this? Is it me? Is it something I'm doing? Learn from it. Why does this keep happening? Is it my attitude? Is it my personality? Is it something that I'm doing? How? What? Because tomorrow got to be better. It just has to be. It has to be. So I remember when this preacher used to say that I'll never be broke another day in my life. I heard it back in the 90s. He used to preach it all the time. He used to talk about I'll never be broke another day in my life. And he used to say on his checks, he wrote in the memo section, money cometh to me. And so every time he would write it, he would read it and other people would read it. And I heard so many people that was like, that's dumb, that's this, that's the other. And that's probably why they don't have no money. Because I'm going to see if it works. I'm going to keep speaking it until I see the manifestation of it. Because that ain't like it's a bad thing to say. And so instead of knocking stuff because we're not there, like I said, we just got to learn. Just don't curse ourselves. Talking about money coming to me. Okay, then you can curse money coming to you because guess who's not? Guess who's going to keep speaking money coming to me now? Because one person, God can speak to one person that can write you a check to fund your whole vision. That can write you a check to fund your whole business. That can write you a check that could pay off your house. That can write you a check to pay off your tuition. that can write you a check to pay off whatever debt. But because our faith is not there, because we choose to walk in poverty, and we like poverty, when we start hearing about prosperity, we curse it. And we don't realize that what we curse, we're no longer entitled to. Lord, let me get off this live. Let me get off this live. Let me get off. Being broke ain't my portion. The devil is a liar. So if you don't see the finances, you got to be encouraged because you believe that it's going to change. See, I'm still talking about being encouraged. I'm still talking about being encouraged. I'm encouraged because it's going to change. It ain't going to be like this always. It's not going to be like this always. You got to encourage yourself with that. It's not going to be like this always. I remember, God have mercy. And like, for those of you that's just coming on, welcome. I just came in here. If y'all see the title, it says Sunday Check-In. I haven't been on here with you guys in a minute. I just wanted to see how you all was doing, if you was enjoying the holidays. We made 2 shirts on special. And I was wearing one of our shirts, and I was telling you how we came up with this. But I remember when my kids were little, the things that God has blessed us with now, I didn't have it. My husband and I, we didn't have it. People talk about us. Let me tell you something. People talk about me and my husband. They talk about us. People talk about anybody. Y'all better stop worrying about people talking about y'all. People always going to find something to talk about. If you're going to do good, get used to it. If you want to move further in the things of God, get used to lies, accusations, all those kind of things. I tell people all the time, when there's somebody lying, you just make sure there's no truth in it. That's all. Just make sure there's no truth in it. But I remember when my babies were little. My daughter was like a little arm baby like this. And I remember my husband and I, we didn't have it. All I had was a dream. Like stuff like this right here was a dream. Having a t-shirt might not be much to you, but it was a lot to it. This is a lot to me. So whenever it's all about money with her baby, I remember when my husband and I, we ain't know how we was going to get a shirt, let alone be able to make a shirt. How about that, right? All I had was encouragement because I ain't had no money. The money that we had just was barely getting us through. We had prayer and barely enough. And I remember holding my baby and just crying and just being encouraged. It's not going to always be like this. One day, mommy going to be able to bless you. Daddy going to be. I remember holding the baby and just rocking it's not always going to be like this. Things going to change. One day, it might not be the day, but I promise you, it won't always be like this. You have to choose to be encouraged when you probably in your most discouraging moment. In your most discouraging moment. So people don't understand. And when you get to a certain place, people don't understand still what your battle may be. But it's for God's glory in the end. So you got to choose to be encouraged. In those moments, I had to choose to be encouraged. By even speaking over my baby at that time. So when people would tell me, oh, your children spoiled. You don't remember, it was a time I didn't even know how I was going to get the milk. I remember it was a time I didn't even know how I was going to get the name brand Pampers, let alone what was given to us for free. Being encouraged will push you into a place of being in faith that will cause people to bless you until you can be in a place to be a blessing to others. So you have to be encouraged. Be encouraged even when God raised those people up to bless you. I thank God for the people that was a blessing to my family when we still couldn't take care of ourselves in certain seasons. But in all things, give thanks. In all things. In all things, give thanks. And thanks will make room for more. I remember times when people blessed us with food. So now when people are like, oh, you always giving away stuff? Yeah, because I remember a time when somebody gave to us. So now I give to others. That's not to be grand. That's because I know what it's like. Be encouraged even in the moments of somebody blessing you until you can be a blessing to others. Be encouraged. If you didn't get anything else, be encouraged. In all things, give thanks. In all things. In all things, give thanks. And be intentional. Be intentional. Be intentional to be encouraged. It ain't just going to happen. Thanks again. Thank you all so much for these stars. I appreciate you guys. Actually, I miss you all. I'm going to come on here and do some more lives. I'm glad you all are being blessed by her story and his story. And that was because I wanted to be a blessing. I wanted other people to come. I wanted to share my platform for others to come and tell their testimonies, to rob people of their stories and of their things, of why they can't get to where God wants them to be. And so you have to be intentional to be encouraged. No matter what it feels like, no matter look like, no matter what they say, no matter what they don't say. Be encouraged. And let God speak on your behalf. Because you being encouraged brings you into a place of faith. Being encouraged says, I believe God to change my situation. I believe God to change what I'm dealing with, or change me and what I'm dealing with. One or the other. Sometimes God might not change your situation, but he may change you on how to handle your situation. There's been things that I prayed for God to change, and I begged God to change, and I cried out to God to change, and God did not change. He did not change the situation, but in it, he changed me. He changed me how I perceived it. He changed me on how I handle it. He changed me on how I taught it. And he changed me on how to demonstrate it. Hey, Tina, I love you. So in it, it wasn't just to change the situation, but it was to change me on how to handle certain situations. Please don't think that you're going to be able to handle all this stuff without being processed through some of it. Many of the things that some of us learn, we learn by experience. We learn by walking through it. The things I share, it ain't just by revelation. It's by revelation and experience. And so that's how I started with telling the people in the ministry to be encouraged. And I was very grateful for that person that didn't come to challenge me, wasn't being rude, but just came to me and said, hey, you tell us every week to be encouraged, but ain't no reason for me to be encouraged. And it caused me to say, no, it's a choice. I choose to be encouraged. Things happen to me just like it happened to you. It's how I handle it that makes it different. It's what we say, what we do that makes it different. And it's not about what it like. See, there's some people that's doing great things, but it's just not on social media. And it's not bad to put it on social media. But just because it's not on social media don't mean that there's some people that ain't doing great things. I don't know why people are only measured based on what they put on social media. But there's some people that's doing great, tremendous things that's just not out there. That's why you got to be able to discern. Right? So I love you guys. I appreciate you all. This went further than just checking in. So please share this. If this has encouraged you, share this. I'm going to change the title of this and put on here Sunday check-in, but I will also hashtag it be encouraged. And I want you all to message me, write me about how this message, one, has encouraged you. And I want you to also share with me on how, when you changed and became encouraged, how things changed for you. I'm telling you, when you change from being discouraged or disappointed or down or all that other stuff, and you choose to believe God, even when it don't look like anything like God said, you will see a level of momentum and you will see a level of favor that will hit your life. I want to hear your testimonies of what changed when you changed your thought pattern of being encouraged, right? And the reason why I'm saying that is because, hey, Miguel, I love you, son. The reason why I said that is because I truly know and I truly believe and I truly expect things to shift for you when you just shift your mindset of how you perceiving things. Don't let this year go out without you getting what you're supposed to get. And I'm going to tell you what I know. This year, the enemy wanted, even for me, the enemy wanted this year to run out without me getting the blessings that God had. And if the enemy tried that with me, I'm sure, I'm almost certain that he has tried that with you as well. But you still have time And God is a God that redeems the time. He is a God that redeems the time. And so you make sure that you make your choice so you can receive that, what God has already ordained for you. And why discouragement came so you couldn't focus. Disappointment came so you couldn't see, you couldn't hear, you couldn't perceive, you didn't want to be bothered, you didn't want to know about it, you wanted to be left alone. All those things happen when we're discouraged. Like, leave me alone, like I don't want to hear about it, whatever. But as you become encouraged, it will uplift your faith. I'm telling you what I know. So I love and appreciate you guys. Please share this. I will be back. Those of you who have not seen his story or her story, go back, watch it. I've had some powerful men and women of God from different spheres of influence, from the government to entertainment to ministry. It has been a tremendous blessing, even to me, as I've been hearing the stories. I've been on the other end listening to the interview and like I knew these people had some stories, but my God, they have some stories. So, and those of you that might not know, I have a Sister Girl Arise group. We also launched her story because of it. But we have a Sister Girl Arise that is over 300 women strong. And in that group, we're balanced. We're teaching practical stuff. We're just engaging. We're helping other people. There's teaching. Even the women that's been on our platform are in that group. And so they may teach at any given point of time. And so there's a variety of leaders that is in that group as well. So if you're interested in being a part of the Sister Girl Rise group, it is a private group. You have to search for it and you have to be accepted in the group because of the content that we will share and because it's a private group. Please check that out. I believe that you will be blessed. And guess what? In the midst of what everyone is calling a pandemic, we've launched 2 broadcasts and a woman's group that has grew to over 300 women strong. So you can't tell me that God isn't moving. You just have to make a decision to be encouraged and to expect God to do what he has already promised you that he was going to do. And that's just a little bit of what God has done. There's still so much that is left, but you have to have an expectation to receive the manifestation of it. So I love you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all soon.